Boom, 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 guys. What up, guys? Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, I want to talk about, guys, today is deal stories, right? I want to talk about my first fix and flip, how I did my first fix and flip with zero experience and zero money. I want to talk about how I did my first ever fix and flip with zero experience, zero money, and we ended up making $64,000 and split it. What I'm going to talk about today is how we found the deal, how we funded the deal, the project, all that fun stuff. We're going to go into the story of the seller that we get the property from and give you guys the nitty gritty. This is how you guys know who actually does deals or not. I'm going to show you guys the HUDs. The HUD is when you close on a real estate transaction, the actual legal document that you get that shows that, yes, you are the buyer of this property, you own it, you're in deed and title, right? And guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name, for those who that don't know me, my name is Mamadou Diallo. Been doing real estate for about 3 years. We do it all. I specialize in creative finance, but we do it all. We do cash, creative, we do fix and flips, buy and holds, all that fun stuff, and we do it nationwide, but very specifically in 7 different states, right? So with this episode right here today, guys, you guys are gonna learn, especially for you newbies. A lot of people reach out to me and they're like, hey, how do I get into my first fix and flip? I have zero experience, but I am marketing, I'm talking to sellers, I'm getting deals, I just don't know how to get into my first fix and flip so I can learn hands-on. If you are anything like me, I am a monkey see, monkey do. I learn by doing. And so you can sit on Zooms and YouTube and whatnot, explain to me things all day long, but I need to do it to learn. That's the way I am. And so we're gonna get into the nitty gritty about the deal, guys. I'm gonna give you guys the address. Literally, you can pull up the address, look it up, let's get into it, guys. So here's the thing, guys. So the deal that I'm going to talk about here, the way we found it, this was a probate lead. It was a probate lead. For those of you that don't know what probate is when somebody pass away and they leave assets, and those assets is inherited usually by family members. And this is actually, guys, one of the most, one of the best leads to go after. When you pull a list, there's a lot of people out here that pull pre-foreclosures, which is one of my favorites, probates lists, divorce lists, county tax lien lists, credit card debt lists. There's so many different lists you can pull to find motivated sellers, and probate is one of them. Did you know that most people that passes away and leave a piece of real estate, their family members sell that piece of real estate? I think the numbers is around like 75% of them. They sell that piece of real estate within the next 90 days of the family member passing away. That's why that list is so good to go after and help these people. Why do they sell it? There's a lot of people out here that inherit properties, guys. They sell it like the next month. Why? Because most people that leave real estate, guys, they also leave the real estate with a lot of other problems. They leave the real estate with debt in it. They leave the real estate with other liens. And so if you inherit a property, you're not just inheriting a piece of real estate, you're inheriting all the problems that comes with it. Paying the mortgage, keeping up with the insurance, paying the homeowners association fees, whatever liens is on the property, right? So when somebody passed away, guys, if the will of the person that passed away that used to own the property, if the will is not set up correctly, guess what? You have to go through a process called probate. All of that goes through a judge, and then the judge decides who will be the actual personal representative that will have the right to sell the property. That's the probate process. It can take, all the way from 3 months to 6, sometimes more. Recently, we've talked to a seller that has been in probate for, I think he said 2 years. 2 years. And technically, guys, when you're talking to a probate lead, they cannot sell you the property if they're still in the probate process. The probate have to be completely done for them to sell you the property. But the issue also is this: why is this seller so motivated, guys? To go through probate is it actually costs money. It is not free, guys, to go through probate. And so a lot of people that inherit these properties also, guess what? They don't have the money to go through the probate process. They don't have the money to pay the attorneys, the judge, everything that comes with it. And so that's where investors can step in and help these people out. Because as an investor, if you're working with them and they're willing to work with you and sell you the property, guess what? You can actually pay these fees for them, have them go through the process. You guys agree upon the price right up front. And then once you're done with all the process, then you can go ahead and close escrow. So this is one of the best lists, guys, you can pull out here when it comes to motivated sellers is probate leads, right? Can you guys let me know if you can hear me okay? If you're watching me, whether it's on YouTube or on Instagram, can you let me know, please, if you can hear me okay? I want to make sure my mic is working before we dive deep into this. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me okay. Actually, I want you to drop boom. If you can hear me okay, drop boom. Drop boom in the chat for me if you can hear me okay. Can you guys hear me? Thank you, Brian. I appreciate you, my guy. Loud and clear. Thank you. Oh, Mr. Brandon. Brandon is one of the guys that I did some of my first deals when I first started. Brandon Dukes. Boom. Let's go, baby. All right, guys. So here's the address to the property. For those watching on YouTube, I'm going to share my screen and actually show you. So the address, guys, is 11308 Glissade Drive. I think it's pronounced Glissade. So it's Glissade Drive. Is in Clinton, Maryland. 11308 Glissade Drive, Clinton, Maryland. All right. You can see the pictures on Zillow. We fixed up that property and we sold it. And I'm going to go through the seller story so you understand we're doing real estate, yes, but we're really into the problem solving business, right? This is not just about the real estate. What this seller was going through, guys, is crazy. And then you're also going to learn how easy it is to raise private capital, because that's the first time I ever raised money and I didn't even know what the word private money means. And also, that was my first fix and flip. That's how I started my experience in fix and flipping, because I learned hands-on with somebody that have the experience. Not only they brought the money, they brought the GC, and they brought the experience. Guess what I had to bring to the table? Just the deal, just the contract locked up. All right, that's the crazy part about this deal. So I made money. So my return is infinite, guys, because I had 0 penny into this deal. All right. Let me see, guys. I'm going to show you here. Let me see how I can share my screen. Present right here. Share screen. For those on YouTube, guys, if you're on Instagram and you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so. Go ahead on my YouTube channel, subscribe, like, leave me a comment. I appreciate you guys. If you're on Instagram, the link is in my bio. And if you're on YouTube, if you put your questions there, I'll actually be able to see them and answer them as well. All right. Let me see. So I'm pulling up the address here before I share my screen, guys. Bear with me. Bear with me for a minute. Boom. Here we have it. Here we have it. All righty. Let me share my screen now. Boom. All right. For you guys that are on YouTube, can you guys see? Boom. My guy, Lawrence. Thank you, bro. That's what I'm talking about. Can you guys see my screen, Lawrence? Can you see my screen? Can you see the address? Can you see the property? Guys, if you have questions and you're on Instagram, go to the link on my bio, my YouTube link, go on YouTube, punch a question. I will pull it up on the screen and I will answer your question. Guys, so here you have it. So the property address, again, I'm going to repeat it, 11308 Glissade Drive, Clinton. So when you pull it up, the interesting thing about this property, guys, when you pull it up on Zillow, it shows that the property is sold for $5,000. And I'm going to explain to you why it shows that. Because obviously you cannot buy a property with this value at $5,000 unless you know how to do creative finance, which is what we did on this property. All right. So guys, here's where does this lead came from? Where did this lead came from? This lead came to me through another wholesaler that was a childhood friend of, the deceased family. So the owner of this property was, I think, an ex-military, because there was a lot of books of the military in this property. So I'm assuming he was in the military, and he was sick for about 17 years, laying in bed, cannot move, cannot do anything. And his wife, that is from the Philippines, that have been married with him, guys, guess what? She couldn't even go to the neighbor. She told us the day of closing, guys, she literally cried. Like we went in the backyard, we took some dirt, put it in the flour, and gave it to her. This is the story that she gave us. She told us that for 17 years, she felt like a prisoner in this property. Why? Because her husband was sick and she was taking care of him. He couldn't even move from the bed. And so she couldn't even go. Her neighbor was her best friend. She couldn't even go visit her neighbor. So she was super, super emotional when we stepped in and were able to help her. So guys, so the wholesaler that was dealing with this, obviously he didn't know what to do. The reason being is because the seller owed, not only they were behind on the mortgage on this property, but they owed a little bit too much for a cash offer to work for most investors. And so every investor that was calling this lady was offering her somewhere around, if I remember quite well, they were offering her around like 350, 345, but these people owed about 365 on the mortgage. And the property needed about 75 to 80,000 worth of work. And so every cash buyer is telling them, listen, there's not much we can do, right? Because a cash wouldn't work. We have to buy it at 350. Well, if the lady could already not, afford her mortgage, how can she afford to fix anything or pay off the debt that she has? Because if she were to sell it at 345 or 350, guess what? She would have to bring money to the table to close on the transaction. For those of you that actually don't know, when you're selling a home, the seller that is selling the property is actually the one that pays the closing fees, not the buyer. Unless you sell into an investor, that's different. But if you sell into a homestead buyer, the seller is who pays the commissions, the buyer's agent commission and the seller's agent. The buyer's agent is the agent that is bringing the buyer to the table. The seller's agent is the agent that is helping the seller sell the home. So the seller would be the one paying both commissions. Guys, on average, it costs about 6% to sell a home. But in reality, really it costs 8%. The reason being because it's always another fee you weren't expecting. There's always something more to pay at the closing table. You have to pay insurance for the buyer, buyer's concessions, or you have to repair something after inspection. There's always something. So on top of the commission and the closing fees, you always pay something more, right? And so guys, bottom line in, no investor wanted to buy this property cash because they owe about 365. And on the mortgage, they're behind on the mortgage too. And on top of that, the property needs work. And so if you were to buy this property cash, you probably have to buy it at 345. So when the wholesaler brought it to me, I was like, listen, very simple here, what we'll do. We'll just come in, we'll get caught up on the mortgage. I think they were behind like 3 months. It wasn't like a lot. They were behind like 3 months. So we'll get caught up on the mortgage and then we'll just take over the mortgage payments. So she was behind, I think, about $6,000 on the mortgage, between 6 or 8 grand. So we'll pay off that 6 or 8 grand, get caught up on the mortgage, and then we'll take over her payments on the mortgage. So we'll buy the property subject to the mortgage. All right. For those of you that are not familiar with subject to transactions, is when you buy a property with the mortgage in place, the mortgage stays on the seller's name, and you, the buyer, just take over the payments. You're responsible for the payments, but the mortgage stays on the seller's name. Why is that beneficial for a buyer? Well, because I don't have to walk into Wells Fargo, Chase, whatever bank. I don't have to walk in and get qualified for a loan. Nobody asked me for my job history. The seller already qualified for the loan for me. Oftentimes, the interest rate already in place is a really, really good interest rates. And so I just get to take all that over. And all I have to do is to continue making those payments. And I get to own a real estate, right? So when we stepped in, guys, that was one of the issues. No investor could buy the property cash This lady, she wanted to go back to the Philippines because her husband just passed away after 17 years of taking care of him. Her dream was to travel the world because she's really old now. She was, I think when we closed, she was in her 70s, right? And she was emotional because she was like, I would really just love to go back to the Philippines and then start traveling the world. And these properties was holding me back. Because after he passed away, guess what now? She need to figure out, how do I pay for the probate process? And then on top of paying for the probate process, how do I get caught up on the mortgage? And on top of getting caught up on the mortgage, how do I fix this property? Because every listing agent that she talked to is telling her, you have to fix the property before we can list it on the MLS. Because realtors, guys, cannot just list any type of property on the MLS. The property have to look clean, it have to look good. I mean, some unicorn agents that work with realtors does it, but most realtors, when they're dealing with actual owners, they tell the homeowner to fix up the property. But for a homeowner that can already not afford their mortgage, they cannot afford to pay for the probate fees, do you think they have the money to pay their mortgage? No, they don't. And so when they got in touch with me, I told their son. So I dealt with the son in this situation here because the mom didn't even speak English, guys. So I was communicating with the son. I explained to him the whole process. I said, hey, we'll just take over the mortgage. We'll pay for the probate to go through. And then after that, we'll just take over the mortgage. And then we do whatever we want from that point on. And he was like, okay, done deal. So that's the acquisition of this deal, guys, is a probate, and then we bought it subject to. That's how we solved the lady's problem. And I'm going to show you guys here. So when you're dealing with gurus, guys, this is what you need, right? This is how you know if people are truly doing deals. Let me see. Let me show you guys what a HUD look like. I see a lot of people here that already know what a HUD look like. I'm just going to show it to the people that don't. Let me see. Is that, let me find the HUD on this property, guys, and show you. 308. Guys, if you're on Instagram, go on YouTube. If you have any questions, put it on YouTube. I'll pull it up on the screen and answer your questions. Where's this? 308. Yeah, bro, Ralph. Yes, I've done it, Raphael. I've done a Morbi method. I didn't go through with it, but I went all the way up to closing, and then we ended up turning the deal into an actual hybrid. So I convinced the seller because I didn't like the terms that the lender was giving me as far as the interest rate and whatnot. And so I changed it to, so I didn't actually close, but I went through the process. Yes. Let's see, Clinton, where's the HUD? Clinton. Okay, there you go. Boom. All right, guys. So let me show you guys. Boom. Let me do stop sharing. And then let me share again and show you guys what a HUD look like. Share screen. Boom. Let me show you guys. Thank you, Raf. You know, we gotta stay clean on the gram, bro. Hold on, let me show you guys. All right, if you're on YouTube, let me know if you can see my screen. Unfortunately, I cannot show you guys on Instagram, but most people I see here on Instagram already know what a HUD look like. So let's see. Boom, boom. All right, can you guys see this? Mr. Lawrence, if you're still on, let me know if you can see this. So guys, this is what a HUD look like. All right, you can see the property address. You can see my company, you know, that bought the property. Let me see right here. Boom. You can see the reason, guys, this property says $5,000. When you look it up on YouTube, not on YouTube, on Zillow, my bad. The reason it says $5,000 is because that's the closing fees that we paid to take over the mortgage. Remember, we bought it subject to, so the mortgage didn't transfer. So yes, technically we bought this property $5,000. Yes. And then so with $5,000, we controlled a property that was worth as is close to $350,000. And after fixed up, we sold it a little over $400,000, right? But guys, look at this. So the wholesaler that brought me the lead actually got paid $10,000 at close of escrow. Let me show you guys here. Boom. You can see his LLC right here. It says consulting fee to Downing Enterprise LLC. He got paid $10,000. This is one tip for you guys out there so guys, this is a dead lead that he had. He didn't know what to do with the lead. I turned it into a deal, structured the terms with the seller, pay for the probate fees, pay for the closing costs, and paid him $10,000. Now, there is a huge mistake that I made on this deal with that wholesaler that I will never again do in my life. And I'll tell you guys this, especially my sub 2 folks, because we help so many people close on properties, meaning we help do the acquisition, and we cheat on ourselves sometimes. And that's what I did on this property. He actually ended up joining the sub 2 group after we did this deal. So here's what happened. I did all the acquisition, structured the deal, did everything. Usually when we do that, my acquisition company, my wholesaling company, and my fix and flip company are two different things. So on that $10,000, guys, because that's from a private lender, I'm going to get into the story on how I found the private lender, guys. I found this private lender, guys, that we were supposed to close that day at 12 p.m. and one of my private lenders backed out, and my other private lender saved me close this deal around I think it was around 2 p.m. right? That we closed it, that I found. And guess what? That private lender, guys, came from Instagram. I raised the money to fix up this property, which we spent close to $80,000 on this house. I raised it through Instagram, through one simple DM. All right, this is why it's so important. If you're not active on social media, if you're not posting them, I guarantee you're cheating on yourself. So here's how I screwed myself up on this deal on the acquisition side of things. I helped this wholesaler turn a dead lead into a deal, and that $10,000 on the acquisition, guys, I didn't get paid. I got paid zero. And on top of that, the wholesaler had the nerves to complain because closing was taking too long with a lot of other moving parts that was going on. The seller got paid, I think it was $5,000. We gave the seller $5,000. $5,000 went to closing costs and $10,000 to the wholesaler. Because I did the acquisition, my wholesaling company should have been paid $5,000 out of that 10. So I should have made right up front $5,000. When you do an acquisition on a dead deal with a wholesaler, even if you're taking it down and you're raising private money, you, the acquisition person, you have to get paid on the acquisition, because your wholesaling company have overhead, you have marketing fees, your time that you spend with the seller, all these things you need to get paid. And I was trying to be the nice guy, and this guy ended up showing me that he actually doesn't care. All he cares about is himself. This is the last deal. No, this is not the last deal we've done, but after that, it was I wasn't really trying to mess with this guy anymore. Right, so I didn't get paid, and on top of that, guys, so he wanted $12,000. I said, I can't do that. I'll give you 10, right? There you go, Rafael. It happens to the best of us, bro. Always trying to be the nice guys, right? I stopped doing this, by the way. I don't care. I became pace now. I would bite your ear off, right? And so, guys, so not only he wanted $12,000, I said, no, there is no way we can make that work. The numbers are tight. And he was, because remember, this wholesaler, he didn't market for this deal, guys. He didn't do any effort for this deal. This is his childhood best friend's parents' house. I'm going to repeat it. This is his childhood friend parents' house. So the seller that passed away is his childhood friend's dad. So he reached out to him because he know him, and he see now he's trying to do real estate, blah, blah, blah. That's how he reached out to him. He didn't do any marketing on this deal, right? And he wanted $12,000. And think about this. Me, Mamadou, I am the one that told him, how about the seller We have to get this seller paid. This lady is old. She want to go back to the Philippines. And this is your best friend's mom, not my best friend's mom. And I have to make you think about paying her. Which I'm sure up to today, the best friend doesn't know that. And so that's how I understood this is not a person I want to work with moving forward, because all he thinks about is himself. And so I propose, you know what? I'm going to give the lady $5,000 because he said if he doesn't get $12,000, he's going to screw up the deal. So we gave him 10 and we gave him $2,000 after close of escrow. And after that, guys, I'll tell you guys, I was really bitter because I was like, Mamadou, what the hell are you doing? You did the acquisition. You did all the work. You talked to the seller. You structured it. You brought in the paperwork. You brought the title company. You brought the experience, and he got paid. And on top of that, he's complaining that he got paid $10,000 and he has to wait for $2,000 in the back end. And you, Mamadou, taking the risk by going in and doing the fix and flip. So I decided never again. If I JV with somebody and I am doing the acquisition, I get paid on the acquisition. If we're making $10,000 up front, even if I raise the money, I'm taking it down, we're going to split that $10,000. I get 5, you get 5. If you're not happy with it, I'm not the right JV partner for you. Right? And so that's how we get the deal, guys. Here's how I got the private money, because obviously we needed the money to close, cash to seller, $10,000 to the wholesaler here. Guys, I had zero money. When I got this deal, guys, I made a decision. I took a decision. Yes, he joined Sub 2 after this deal, guys. I don't think he does. I don't know a lot of people doing deals with him in Sub 2. I don't think he did change. I've talked to, but anyway, let's not get into that. So guys, when I got this deal, I made a decision. I took a decision. Why? Because I knew there was a spread here. Remember when we got the deal, they owed about 368. And in the back end, I knew for sure we could sell this property a little bit over. Let me see what was the, let me see on the HUD. We sold it, I think about 445,000, guys, we sold the property. Around 445. And the owed, I might be mistaken on the mortgage that they owed, maybe it's 268. Let me see, 19. Sorry, guys, I'm looking at the HUD. I want to make sure I'm not making up the numbers. I'm just giving rough numbers here, but where's the mortgage? The mortgage. $24,000, 19. Where's the mortgage? Sales price subject to gross amount due to seller, less reduction, line of commission. Guys, for some reason I'm not seeing the mortgage amount on the anyway. So anyway, guys, so we took over the mortgage. So I made a decision that this deal right here, I am not going to wholesale it. Here was my goal, guys. I just started wholesaling. At this point, I have done 4 wholesaling deals. And me, when I got into investing, I knew for sure that I'm not a wholesaler. I am a buy and hold investor, and I do want to learn some fix and flipping just for the experience. And also, guys, because fix and flipping attracts money. That's just the reality of it. If you walk in projects, you walk in properties, you're documenting your journey, people see it, they will come to you and bring opportunities to you. Money will come to you, relationships will come to you. I'm telling you, it opens so many doors. So when we got the deal, guys, I decided this deal, even though I didn't have the money, I decided I'm not going to wholesale it. That's why I decided to take it down. And then I found one person that said they would bring the money, and we JV 50-50. And the day that we were supposed to close, guys, the person got cold feet. We were supposed to close, I think, at 12 p.m. He texted me around 11 a.m. that, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to come through. If you look at the HUD that I showed you, there is the word there. It says revised, because we had to revise the HUD because obviously that person backed out. So I had to find somebody new. Here's how I found my new private lender, guys. I swear to God, I cannot make this up. This has to be God. There is no way this is not God. I was really scared. I was like, shit, how am I gonna, one, my credibility will be lost with the wholesaler if I don't perform, the seller, and then the title company, and then this. I don't have the money. Like, I just started wholesaling. Yes, I made money, but I don't want to use my money. Like, I already struggled almost a year to get my first deal, right? I get a DM from an agent that have been following me on my Instagram forever. He's an agent in Philly. And he never talked to me nor liked my post or anything. But that day, for some reason, he DM'd me. He said, hey, Mamadou, I have somebody in the DMV bugging me about buying an investment property. He is a fix and flipper, and I wanted to connect you with him to see if you guys can do deals together. This is literally what he DM'd me, guys. I was like, okay, great, give him my number. He gave him my number, and that guy called me right away. Like literally within the next 5 minutes. I remember I was sitting in my brother's basement in front of the computer thinking, how the hell will I close on this property? And he called me and we started talking, and he started explaining to me how to buy properties. So he started explaining to me that he actually has flipping experience. This is how I knew this is God, guys. What they used to do to flip, him and his partner, so he's the one that brings the money and his partner is the GC, but his partner also has money. So they're just childhood best friend. What they do is they go to the auction, they bid on properties, they buy them cash, and then they go renovate them. So they bring the cash. If you go to the auction, you bid on the property, guys, there is no time to, the money is due within, I think, 24 hours max. You have to wire that money cash. And then on top of that, you have to bring now the money to fix up the property and resell it. And so what they used to do is one of them will bring the money to buy the property at the auction, and then the other one will bring the money for the fixing. So the general contractor, who is my private lender's best friend, will be the one bringing the funds to buy the house at the auction, and his best friend will bring the money to renovate. His best friend is not really full-time real estate. He's somebody who works for the military and then invests in stocks and all those type of things. So he called me, was like, hey, I just got your number from this agent in Philly. I've been bugging him to find me a deal, but he told me he doesn't get deals in Maryland. He's only licensed in Philly. And so we talked, and he was explaining to me how they used to buy the properties. Guys, after 1 hour of talking, I found out that this guy was my older brother's best friend, childhood best friend in school. I was like, hold on, like this voice, I know this voice. Like, what's your name? And by the way, just so you guys know, so his last name is Diallo too. So he gave me his name. I was like, hold on. I said, aren't you the best friend of my older brother? He said, what, are you Mamadou? I said, yeah, that's me. He said, are you kidding me? I said, no, I'm not kidding you. He said, since when you doing real estate? I was like, I've been doing it for about 2 years now. What? Not 2 years. I've been doing it for about, at that point, it was about maybe a year, maybe just a little over a year. He said, I've been doing it about, he was like, are you kidding me? And then I was like, hold on. Are you kidding me? So you guys are really going to the auction and bidding on properties and buying it cash, and then you bring the money to renovate? And the average renovation, like the average length of time they spent on the property, guys, is 6 months, because they're taking on gut jobs. But this property right here, when we found it, guys, when we found this property right here that I just showed you, it was, the property didn't need a lot of work. It was a light reno. Not only is it a light reno, when I explained to him how we get properties with creative finance, I said, listen, you don't have to do none of that with the deal that I have right now if you're interested. You don't have to come and bid on anything, and I already secured the funds in place. You don't have to bring the 268, or it was 368 cash. You don't have to bring that. All I need you to do is to bring the closing fees. We take over the mortgage. We start making those payments, and then you bring the money for the renovation. And I sent him the pictures of the property. He couldn't believe it, because he has experience in flipping more than me. I didn't even know. They taught me that this property is going to cost $80K. I didn't know. I honestly, guys, didn't know, because my first thing was, if I take it down, I'm just going to wrap it or something like that. And then he was like, no, we can fix this. There is room. It's going to take $60K, whatever, but you always end up spending more. So he was like, hold on. So you're telling me I don't have to buy the property cash? I said, no, you don't buy cash. We just take over the mortgage. And he was like, how does that work? So I went through the time and explained to him what subject to is. He never heard of it. He was like, you gotta be kidding me. How? Like, why would somebody let you take over the mortgage? So we went through, I'm not gonna go through it here. We went through the process. So I was educating him on credit, and he was like, hold on. I can save so much money with that. So you telling me all I have to do is to bring the renovation money and the closing costs? Boom, done. So I said, done. He said, yes, let's do a joint venture. I will bring the money. I will bring the GC for the renovation. I will pay the closing fees, and we split the profits 50-50. Guys, my first private lender backed out from me around 11 a.m. He came into my world around 2 p.m. And he brought the money to close. It was around like $24,000 just to close. And then we were going to spend somewhere around we ended up spending $80,000 to fix up the property. The value I was bringing, guys, remember, I have zero experience. I just been wholesaling at this point. I don't know what it looks like to take down a property. This was my first experience knowing what a HUD looked like. Because usually when you're wholesaling a property, most people don't take the time to ask the title company to send them the HUD for review, and so to learn what a HUD look like, to see what are all the fees associated with buying a piece of real estate. I didn't know, right? So he actually helped me read the HUD. I sent him the HUD. We hopped on the phone, and he was looking at it. Oh, this is what you look at. This is what you look at. That's how I learned. And so I was like, great. So you're gonna bring the money. You bring the GC. You're responsible for the GC. I already have the deal. I was like, yeah, zero money. And that's how, guys, I raised my first private money without knowing what private money was. We did a joint venture. And after everything was said and done, we ended up selling the property, and the net profit was $64,000. Light reno, he was like, even his GC couldn't believe it. We did 3 deals together after that. Even his GC, when he saw the property, he was like, bro, all the properties we used to do take us up to 6 months, and then we're struggling. And they even had one property where they almost lost money. They had hard money. They were bleeding money. The property took so long to fix. They got it at the auction, bunch of problems. I was like, guys, you ain't got to go through all of that with me. We get properties creatively. We secure the funds already. So I did this first deal with him. He was happy. Then we did another novation where we didn't even close. That one, we ended up netting around like $85,000 net. Right? Guts are no joke, Eric. You're absolutely right. I don't touch gut jobs when it comes to flips. If you are an HGTV fan, if you watch HGTV, trust me, the best way to go bankrupt is for you to start in real estate with zero experience. And just because you have good credit and a hard money lender is willing to give you a loan, you start by fix and flipping because they make it look so easy on HGTV. That's the best way for you to go bankrupt right out the gate, hate your life, hate real estate for life. Trust me, you do not want to do that. And I understood that. That's why I was like, not only I'm going to take this down, but I am going to find somebody who has the experience. I don't want to go through it. I don't want to spend all of my own money. And so guys, this has to be God. There's no way, there's no other explanation to me. This has to be God. But there you have it. This is how I did my first fix and flip with zero experience, and I raised my first private money with zero experience. I didn't even know what private money means. But remember, guys, it's always about value. What value do you bring to the table? For this guy, the value that me, Mamadou, brought to the table is that I just taught him something new. With the new knowledge that I brought to the table and I secured the property, for him, it was like, gosh, I don't have to go to freaking bidding auctions anymore and bid on properties. If this kid can go out and find this type of deals, this is a win-win for me. I have a 9-to-5. I'm too busy with my 9-to-5. I'm making great money. If I can just bring the money, have him work with the GC, and I have to deal with that and still make a profit, win-win all day long. And that's why he did it, and we did multiple deals after that, right? But guys, here's the thing. With one deal, I created multiple different, relationships and resources. Here's the thing: I honestly could have wholesaled this property for $20,000 quick and moved on. The wholesaler would have made 10 and I would have made 10. I could have wholesale because, guys, just so you know, you can wholesale subject to properties. You can lock up a property, creatively take over the mortgage and wholesale it. So I could have went to a fix and flipper and say, hey, you don't have to buy this property cash. I already secured the funding in place. All you have to do is to bring the money for the renovation. Give me $20,000 and you take over the underlying debt and you deal with it. That would have been too easy. But you don't learn like that. You don't learn by always going for the quick buck. Sometimes your vision got to be a little bit longer. And so I decided this deal is going to be the one I'm going to learn fix and flipping on, or I'm going to wrap it if I don't find the money. But God ended up bringing the money to me because I am 100% sure is because I took care of the lady. I made sure that family at least got something to walk away. We solved the problem. This lady literally told us at close of escrow, guys, that 17 years she felt like a prisoner in this house. She couldn't even go to her neighbor. Reda, I'm not doing fix and flips in this market. Actually, yes, I do have one going on, but I'm done after that. If this property doesn't sell, I have a question on Instagram. He's saying if I still do fix and flips. With this market right now, doing fix and flips, guys, is suicidal. So I have one going, but there's so much spread that in the back end, if it doesn't sell, we're just gonna convert it into a turnkey Airbnb and we're gonna sell the business. We're gonna sell it as a business. So we do have another exit strategy in case. But guys, this market is not a market you wanna mess with fix and flip. Properties are not selling. Be careful with that. But guys, I'm telling you, we are not in the real estate investing business, guys. We are in the problem solving business. You solve problems, you make money. You solve problems, you make money. Don't waste your times when there's no problems. And also, don't just focus on the quick check. Sometimes a relationship is better than a quick check. Because of my value that I added to the table for this guy, guess what? He funded multiple other deals for me. And I literally have a brand turnkey property right now. Guys, I'm telling you, this is 2 years later that me and him built a relationship from this first fix and flip. We just got it on the contract in Atlanta, brand new turnkey property. He is the one that brought it to me. That property is owned by his older brother. He told him his property is not selling on the market. He said, call Mamadou. He will be able to help you out. And we're taking over that guy's VA loan subject too. Relationships. If I would have just taken that quick buck, not only I wouldn't have learned what a fix and flip look like, all the headaches, what is involved with closing, how headache is general contractors, bunch of fees that you didn't expect, right? I wouldn't have learned that. Right? And so, guys, there you have it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm doing this once a week where I go over deals I've done. I call this deal stories because I believe every single house tells a story. Because we're problem solvers, every single house is unique. Every problem you encounter in this real estate space is unique. So if you focus on solving problems, you will always make money. You will always make money. Focus on solving problems. Care about the people, about the sellers you're dealing with, right? Care about the relationship that you build throughout that journey. And the most important thing, guys, do not cheat on yourself. Because on this deal, I cheated on myself by helping a wholesaler that didn't know what creative finance is. I converted the deal, turned it into a deal, and I didn't pay my wholesaling company. Always pay your wholesaling company if you do an acquisition. Period. Don't even think about it. Even if you're taking it down yourself. Raise enough private money. If you need to raise $80,000 to fix the house, then go ahead and raise $110,000 so that you can pay the closing costs and still pay yourself a $10,000 assignment for doing acquisition. That's how you should do it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. On this is what I call the bold effect, right? My YouTube channel is all about the bold effect, guys. Why do I say the bold effect? Because I believe in life, everything is about the confidence. If you're bold about your goals, if you're bold about the relationship that you build, if you're bold about learning something new every single day, if you're bold about being successful with your team, if you're bold about achieving your goals and you're not scared, you will always succeed. So move with boldness. Move with boldness. And my last name, which is Diallo, actually means bold, ironically. So it just, it is what it is. Right? And so I try to live up to my last name. So I'm bold about every single thing I do. All right, guys? So be blessed, stay bold, be bold. Boom, 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 boom.